Shalom, shalom, Yisrael, Yehonatan Dawit with you here, Yahweh for Christians, on what they call the 20th of September, 2020. I want today to talk about the Shabbat. We just spent the last few months going over all of the feast days, all the Kodesh Moed, but there is one that our leaders are not talking about that should be incorporated within those 7. So there are really 8 Kodesh Moedim. And it's right there in Leviticus 23, which we all go to. We all go to Leviticus 23, but we don't see that the foundational Moed is the Shabbat. Let's go there. Leviticus 23, verses 1 through 3. And Yahweh spoke to Moshe, saying, Speak to the children of Israel, and say to them, The feast of Yahweh, which you will proclaim to be Kodesh convocations, these are my feasts. 6 days will work be done, but the 7th day is a Shabbat of solemn rest, a Kodesh convocation. You will do no work on it. It is a Shabbat of Yahweh in all your habitations. So we see here that the Shabbat is the foundation of time. You don't get a day without first having hours. You don't get hours without first having minutes. And you don't get minutes without first having seconds. Shabbat is the second hand of Yahweh Shua's timepiece. When you go to Leviticus 23 and you read on, you see then Yahweh talks about the other Moedim. They're all listed, all in order. You got Passover, unleavened bread, first fruits, Shavuot, trumpets, and atonement, which comes 10 days later, and you have tabernacles. But these other days are just Eyom. You got Eyom Echad, Eyom Shishayim, Eyom Shalosh, Eyom Arba, Eyom Kash Maish, and Eyom Shisha. They're just numbered days. They do not have a name, not given by Yahweh. But Eyom Shib'al has a name. It is called Shabbat. And there's a difference between days and the day. Just like if you had a farmer who has a field of cows, and he tells his son, go out there and get one of those cows for slaughter so we can eat. You go out, and it doesn't matter which cow you get. But if he says, go out and get Bessie, and that's different. Because if you named one of those cows, there's a reason why that cow was named. Maybe that calf had a difficult delivery, and you nurtured it, and maybe your son brought it to life, and he raised it up, and she became a big, healthy cow. And you gave it a name. It will be very gut-wrenching to then go and slaughter that cow and put it on the table. Because now that cow is not just a number. It's not just another cow on a hill. It has been specified. Nothing is special unless it is given a name. We quite often we like to say that we're special, that we're not just another number. We're not just a statistic. We have a name. When you have a name, you are special. And Yahweh made us know that by, in the very beginning, only giving one day a name. And that is the Sheba day, the 7th day, which he called Shabbat. Now, the 8th day, the day is 1,000 years to Yahweh, and 1,000 years is as a day. The 8th day is the eternal day. 8 represents eternity. And on the 8th day is when you're going to have on the 8th day tabernacles. That's when you have, on the last great day, the ushering in of the millennial kingdom. Yahweh Shua, in the personage of Dawid will reign from Zion as king of the whole earth for 1,000 years. That begins on the last great day of tabernacles. Now we do know that when Yahweh Shua himself comes, he's going to come down on the Mount of Olives, split it in two. That happens on after the 1000th feast day of trumpets. When that blows, that's when Yahweh Shua himself comes down. Genesis 1:14. Then Elohim said, let there be lights in the firmament of the heavens to divide the day from the night, and let them be for signs and seasons and for days and years. Now this word seasons, we automatically think winter, spring, summer, and fall. And that may be. But on a deeper level, it means the Hebrew word for seasons is moed. And I'm going to go into that. But right now, I want to talk about this time and seasons. This is Yahweh's wristwatch, okay, for us to look at. He put his wristwatch in the dome for us to look at to mark time. Remember, we sinned. We offended Yahweh. As such, we got put out of the garden. Now, there is an appointed time to be reconciled and return to the garden. But when? Yahweh has declared the end from the beginning. He told us when. All we got to do is look to the heavens, not down to social media. Look to the heavens and watch the times. Look for the times for when we can return. So Moed, this word seasons does not give you the full understanding of Moed. It means appointed time, scheduled. That means it is scheduled. It's not random. It's appointed time, and it is a place, and also a specific meeting place. It is not any old random pickup joint. Now, we got to realize that Yahweh is not bound by time. We are bound by time. So we need it. Yahweh doesn't need it. We are bound by time. Everything is before Yahweh. So when he speaks, he calls things to be that we don't even see. He declares the end from the beginning. Yahweh speaks as though things are that are not. So we have to realize that. As such, we need to be on his time. We need to focus. We have borders and limits to our existence. And those borders and limits need to be marked by Yahweh's Kodesh Moedim. Genesis 2:1-3. Thus the heavens and the earth and all the host of them were finished. And on the seventh day, Yom Shibah, Elohim ended his work which he had done. And he rested on the seventh day from all his work which he had done. Then Elohim blessed the seventh day and sanctified it, because in it he rested from all his work which Elohim had created and made. So there we go. It is not something that was made after Moses came down from Mount Sinai, and in the fourth commandment it says, keep the Shabbat. It was way before that, before there was a delineation of peoples, before there was a delineation of nations, before there was a delineation of tongues. Yahweh Shua established HaShabbat. It is the foundation of all of the feast days. Exodus 16:23-27. This is what Yahweh has said. Tomorrow is a Shabbat rest, a Kodesh Shabbat to Yahweh. Bake what you will bake today, and boil what you will boil, and lay up for yourselves all that remains, to be kept until morning. And it did not stink, nor were there any worms in it. Today is Shabbat to Yahweh. You will not find it in the field. 6 days you will gather it, but on the seventh day, HaShabbat, there will be none. Yahweh here is calling on faith from his people. And why should he not have faith? They just saw 10 plagues in Mizraim. He brought them out with a mighty hand and an outstretched arm. He fed them manna. You know, he had a pillar by night and a pillar of fire by night and a cloud by day. The sea of reeds opened up. All these great evidences of the power of Yahweh. Why would they not have faith in him to gather food, double the food on Friday night, and know the food is not going to come on Shabbat day. That's just a little simple test of faith. And many of them didn't have it. They went on and said, nope, they ate up everything on Friday, and they were going to come on Saturday like it's supposed to, and they were surprised when it didn't. What they needed to learn was that Yahweh Shua is the bread of life. He is the bread. He is the manna. Now, these days, like I said, Yahweh only gave one day a name. That is Shabbat. Where did the names of all these other names come from? Sunday comes from the sun god. Monday comes from the moon god. And these other days come from gods as well. Mars is Aries. That's Tuesday. Mercury is the god Hermes. That's Wednesday. Jupiter is the god Zeus. And there you get Thursday. And Venus is the goddess Aphrodite. And there you get Friday. What about Saturday? That's the god Kronos. And that's where you get Saturday from. But Yahweh named Saturn Day before it was named Saturn Day, and he named it Shabbat. The same thing with the months. They all come from paganism. January is a name after the Roman god Janus. February is named after the Roman festival of purification. Her name was Februa. March is named after Mars, the Roman god of war. April is after Now, April means a prairie, is a Latin word for open. That makes sense. It makes sense because spring is the beginning of opening, but it is a Latin word. And Ibarit is Lashon HaKodesh. So April, though it makes sense, is a Latin word, a dead language. Hebrew is alive. May is named after the Greek goddess Maia. June is named after the Roman goddess Juno. July is named after Julius Caesar. And August is named after Augustus. Now, the other days, September, October, November, December, they are named after the Roman numerals 7, 8, 9, and 10. That makes sense because that's what Yahweh did. All the names, the days of the month, all the months were given numbers except 4 months. Okay? And what are they? Only 4 months were given names. The month of Abib, because that was, Yahweh said, that's going to be your new first month. Your new first month is going to be Abib because that's when I brought you out. So that is the first month. He gave it a name, Abib. And in Abib, you get the feast days. You get Passover. You get unleavened bread. You get first fruits. The second month is Ziph. Ziph. And he gave them Ziph. He named that because that is Shawut. That is the unleashing of Ruach HaKodesh. So he named it a month. He gave that month a name because it was special. Then you have Ethanim. Ethanim is the 7th month of the year. Why did he name the 7th month of the year? Because you have in that month trumpets and atonement. Likewise, he gave the 8th month of the year a name, and he named it Bull. Bull because in Bull, B-U-L, you have tabernacles. The other months are only a number because you know what? It's a statistic. They lead you to the next appointed time. We need to realize what's important to Yahweh, and we know it by whether he gave it a name or not. We know names are important because he says his name 7,000 times in the Torah, and his son's name is thousands of times in the Torah. We know it's important because you're going to be given a new name. These sinful names will be taken away. Likewise, we know that Shabbat is important because he named it. The other 6 days were not given a name. We know that the 4 months that were given names are important because there are 8 months where he did not give a name to. So that tells you right there they must be important. And why are they important? Because he has Kodesh Moedim within those months. So why should we make a point of applying names to something if we're not going to follow by the meaning of those words? If we give a name to something, it must be important. So if we give a name to something, we must abide by the definition of those names. And abiding by the definition of those names, we will see that the names of the months and the names of the days are pagan. Likewise, we must know where the names of the Lord God Jesus Christ come from. They are pagan. They are not Kodesh. They are not in the Torah. If we're not going to take serious the meaning of words, specifically the meaning of named words, then why use them? They have definitions for a reason. As such, we need to abide by them. We need to live by them. The Lord God Jesus Christ have pagan origins. We don't tell somebody that we went on vacation in Germany when we just went to Ocean City. Well, what's the difference? Germany, Ocean City? Well, they have different names because they are different places. So Jesus is not Yahweh, and Yahweh is not Jesus. Jehovah is not Yahweh, and Yahweh is not Jehovah. They have two different names because they have two different fathers. They have two different meanings. We must take names seriously. Take all words seriously because we're going to be judged by them. Now, I talked about this word feast. When you say the English word feast, you're not understanding what it really means per Yahweh. Now, the root word for feast is chag, and it means a gathering or meeting. A festival is a gathering time. The root word for chag is chagag. Chagag means to move in a circle, to march a sacred procession. Not marching on Washington, not declaring Black Lives Matter. It's a set apart marching, but it is a predictable one. It's a revolutionary one. Chadah is the root word for that. It means to revolve. Now, when someone does something that is routine, we say they're just like clockwork. Just like clockwork. That means it's predictable. You know what's going to happen. You know what's going to happen. And that's what prophecy is. Prophecy is Yahweh's servants who have discernment based on patterns of what's going to happen. Prophecy is speaking, acknowledging a pattern. It's not prediction. So Yahweh gives us these feast days so we can know the proper pattern of what's going to happen. The absolute root word is chug. When he created the earth, he made a chug. He inscribed a circle. Why? Because in this circle, there was going to be a pattern of his actions and behaviors with us. And we're supposed to discern those pattern actions and behaviors so we can know how to understand Yahweh, how to be there for when he wants us to be there and hear what he wants us to hear and do what he wants us to do. He does these things in a patterned way. Go to Isaiah 40 and 22. He created the earth as a circle in a patterned way. Why? Because Isaiah 46:10 says that Yahweh declared the end from the beginning. If we want to know what's going to happen at the end, we need to see what he said in the beginning. Hear what he said in the beginning. Be there with him in the beginning. I am original words, original truth. So we see that the sun, the moon, and the stars are Yahweh's timepiece. They are his wristwatch for us to look at so we can have discernment for the times. Daniel and Revelations are better understood when we understand them through the Shabbat and the feast days. That way we will know the times and what's going to happen. We'll be ready for the groom. Now we have to make sure we go by Yahweh's time, not by our own. Leviticus 23 clearly tells us Yahweh's times. Isaiah 37:16 tells us where Yahweh is. You had 10 virgins, 5 wise and 5 foolish. They were all at the right place, but the 5 foolish ones did not have enough oil to be there at the right time. So you can be in the right place, but if you're not there at the right time, you're still wrong. If you're worshiping today, you may be at the right place to worship, but you came there at the wrong time. Today is Sunday, September the 20th. You should have been worshiping on Shabbat, September the 19th, 2020. But also being at the right place. And Yahweh says in Isaiah 37:16 that he lives between the cherubim. The cherubim is in his Kodesh land, and he says, my eyes are always on there. Right now, we're not there. That means he has to gather us together and bring us together at the appointed place, which we must be ready. We will know when to be there when we are keeping the feast days at the appointed time. Yahweh's going to bring us together as a nation. Right now, we are only rehearsing. This is a rehearsal. If you've been married, you know about wedding rehearsals. There must be a wedding rehearsal. You don't just declare a day and immediately get married and have nothing done in between. There's practice all between there. Right now, we are practicing. That's what we're doing. So we're doing the best we can. We got brothers celebrating the feast days a month apart. That's fine. Just do the best you can from where you are at this time. And we know that Yahweh does not reveal anything. Amos tells us, Amos 3:7, Yahweh will do nothing unless he first reveals his word to his Nabai, his Nabaim. And his Nabaim have discernment to the times. Then we tell you and you follow it. He's not going to have random revelations to anybody, anywhere, anytime. Yahweh reveals specific things from his mind to specific peoples for you. So is this important? Is it more important than voting, marching, and sloganeering? Well, Exodus 28, Yahweh says to zikr this day. He says zikr the Shabbat. That means remember the Sabbath day. No other commandment were we told to remember. None other. You're not going to forget not to murder your brother. You're not going to forget not to cheat on your wife. You're not going to forget not to steal. You're not going to forget to you say you're going to disrespect your father and mother. Oh, I'm sorry, Dad. I forgot that I'm not supposed to disrespect you. I forgot that I'm supposed to honor you, my mother. You remember those things automatically. They do not need reminding. But in the goings and comings of our day, in the business of working hard and bringing in food for your family, of obtaining and growing, you will forget the Shabbat. You will forget that day. There's so much going on in our lives. If we're not commanded to remember it, if we do not mark it with Yahweh's timepiece, we will forget it. That's why he said to remember it. No other commandment are we told to remember. Yet, the Christian world tells us that it no longer is valid. They keep the other 9, but the only commandment we're told to remember, they forget. Now, there are other Shabbatot. You have, if we have your regular Shiba Iyom, the 7th day, and that's a Shabbat every week. But you also have atonement, trumpets, tabernacles, and the last great day. So there are at least 4 other Shabbatot to set aside. You don't go to work on those days because they are automatic Shabbatot. Now, if they happen on a regular Shabbat, then it's called a high Shabbat. So you get a double Shabbat on one day. But we are commanded not to work on these days. Keep the Shabbat. Leviticus 25, verses 2 through 6. When you come into the land which I give you, then the land will keep a Shabbat to Yahweh. 6 years you will sow your field, and 6 years you will prune your vineyards and gather its fruit. But in the 7th year, there will be a Shabbat of Shalom rest for the land. A Shabbat to Yahweh. You will neither sow your field nor prune your vineyards. This is all about trust. You must have faith that Yahweh is going to feed you and your family for a whole year by not sowing. Why? Because the land is Yahweh's. The land needs to have her Shabbat. So you do your pruning and your sowing for 6 years, and then the 7th year, it gets its rest, just like you need your rest every week. This is all about trust. We do pray, give us this day our daily bread. We must trust Yahweh. Trusting in Yahweh is a hegemony against falling for the mark of the beast. In the mark of the beast system, we can only buy and sell if we buy into the mark of the beast. We are trusting our bellies over Yahweh if you accept the mark of the beast, because you're saying the system is going to feed you and not Yahweh. But Yahweh is letting you know that He is your man and He is your bread. Trust Him. It is not the system that's going to feed you. Yahweh feeds you. 2 Chronicles 36, 19 to 21. So obviously, Yisrael did not abide by this. They went on and planted their seed every day, every year. They kept on going. They did not give the land her rest. So what did Yahweh do? They burned the bed of Elohim, broke down the walls of Jerusalem, burned all its palaces with fire, and destroyed all its precious possessions. And those who escaped from the sword, He carried away to Babylon, where they became servants to him and his sons until the rule of the king of Persia, to fulfill the word of Yahweh by the mouth of Jeremiah, who you call Jeremiah, until the land had enjoyed her Shabbatot. As long as she lay desolate, she kept Shabbat to fulfill 70 years. Wow. So because we did not abide by the faith of Yahweh that He feeds us, and we violated the land by kept plundering our seed into her so we can eat and feed our bellies, Yahweh took us out of the land so the land can enjoy her Shabbats. So it must be serious. You know, there is a traditional song that was sung every Friday evening, every on preparation day, and that is Psalm 92. I'm going to read it here. It's a traditional Sabbath song. And remember, all the Psalms are songs. It is told to give Todah to Yahweh and to sing praises to your name, O Most High, to declare your loving kindness in the morning and your faithfulness every night, on an instrument of 10 strings, on the lute and on the harp, with harmonious sound, because you, Yahweh, have made me glad through your work. I will triumph in the works of your hands, O Yahweh. How great are your works! Your thoughts are very deep. A senseless man does not know them, nor does a fool understand this. When the wicked spring up like grass, and when all the workers of iniquity flourish, it is that they may be destroyed forever. But you, Yahweh, are on high forevermore, because look, your enemies, O Yahweh, because look, your enemies will perish. All the workers of iniquity will be scattered. But my horn you have exalted like a wild ox. I have been anointed with fresh oil. My eye also has seen my desire on my enemies. My ears hear my desire on the wicked who rise up against me. The Sadiq will flourish like a palm tree. He will grow like a cedar in Lebanon. Those who are planted in the bed of Yahweh will flourish in the courts of our Elohim. They will still bear fruit in old age, and they will be fresh and flourishing, to declare that Yahweh is upright. He is my rock, and there is no unrighteousness in Him. Beautiful psalm, strong, mighty. Go ahead, read it every Friday night. Isaiah 56, 2 through 7. Barak is the man who does this, and the son of man who lays hold on it, who keeps from defiling HaShabbat, and keeps his hand from doing any evil. Do not let the son of man, foreigner, or who has joined himself to Yahweh, speak, saying, Yahweh has utterly separated me from his people. Nor let the eunuch say, here I am, a dry tree, because this says Yahweh, to the eunuch who keeps my Shabbatot, and chooses what pleases me, and hold fast my covenant, even to them I will give in my bed and with my walls a place and a name better than that of sons and daughters. I will give them an everlasting name that will not be cut off. Also, the sons of the foreigner who join themselves to Yahweh to serve him and to love the name of Yahweh, to be his servants, everyone who keeps from defiling HaShabbat and hold fast my covenant, even them I will bring to my Kodesh mountain and make them joyful in my house of prayer. Their burnt offerings and their sacrifices will be accepted on my altar, because My bed will be called a house of prayer, a bed of prayer for all peoples. It's not about black lives. It's not about black Hebrew Israelites. All peoples who accept the name of Yahweh Shua, who receives the Shabbat as a delight, and don't defile it. And it says don't defile it several times in there. They will be grafted in, and Yahweh will bring them to His holy mountain. Remember, the feast days point to Yahweh bringing us back together as a nation, joining the two sticks together, and then worshiping together in the Kodesh land under the Messianic King. And then Yahweh is going to come and set up the everlasting kingdom. That's only for those who keep the Shabbat and the feast days and loves Yahweh's name and worship Him as a joy and a delight. So it must be kind of important that Yahweh was He didn't specifically talk about any other feast day, although they do matter. The only feast day that He mentions here in Isaiah 56 is the Shabbat. Keep that and you will be joined with Him in eternity. Isaiah 58. That was Isaiah 56, verses 2 through 7. Isaiah 58, verses 13 and 14. If you turn away your foot from HaShabbat, from doing your pleasure on my Kodesh Moed, and call HaShabbat a delight, the Kodesh Moed of Yahweh honorable, and will honor Him, not doing your own ways, nor finding your own pleasure, nor speaking your own words, then you will delight yourself in Yahweh, and I will cause you to ride on the high hills of the earth, and feed you with the heritage of Yaakov, your father. Man, that's beautiful. Once again, the Shabbat, he specifies the Shabbat as a Kodesh Moed, and he says that don't even speak your own words. Shouldn't be on that day talking about the ravens or what kind of trying to get a raise or a new job or anything. Your own words are to be taken aside, your own thoughts. This is about Yahweh and receiving what He has for you what He wants you to know at that time. And then He will bring you to His mountain. You're grafted in as part of the family of Yaakov. If you love Yahweh, keep His commandments, follow His Shabbats. That's a beautiful one. That's Isaiah 58. Matthew 12 and 11 and 12. This is when Yahweh Shua is correcting the scribes and Pharisees about the proper way to keep Shabbat. Okay? What man is there among you who has one sheep, and if it falls into a pit on HaShabbat, will not lay hold on it and lift it out? How much more value then is a man than a sheep? Therefore it is lawful to do tob, which you call good, on the Shabbat. Now, even in as John 7:22, he talks about how we circumcise our sons on Shabbat. That is a medical procedure. Yet, if the 8th day of our son's birth landed on Shabbat, we circumcised our sons. So we're not going to go ahead and rest and help a man out or help somebody out on a Shabbat. I remember growing up living with my grandmother. She lived in a Jewish neighborhood. And I would ride my bike on Friday before sunset. I kept the Sabbath. But they would call me in to their homes to turn off their lights, turn off their stove, or do different things for them that they did not want to do when they saw the Shabbat coming close. So they trusted me to go into their homes, and I was known in the neighborhood. I would go from home to home to home to help them in the preparation day, turn off their stoves or their lights. But really, that is not proper keeping of the Shabbat. The proper keeping of the Shabbat is doing no servitude work, no customary work, and having a mind and a heart ready to receive what Yahweh has to give you at that appointed time. Mark 2:27, and he said to them, HaShabbat was made for man and not man for HaShabbat. That's because the Shabbat, remember, it's an appointed time. It's Yahweh's wristwatch for us, so we will not forget it. We are to zakir, remember the Shabbat, to keep it Kodesh, to separate it from the other days. It is the day that we are to keep to be ready to receive what he has for us. Sit down under some good preaching. Not fast that day. You don't need. You really shouldn't fast on Shabbat, but meditate and be with Yahweh. And don't look at the sun waiting for it to fall down below the horizon so you can go ahead and immediately turn on the TV or immediately go to work or immediately do whatever you want to run out and play. Enjoy it. It's a beautiful time to be in the presence of Yahweh. Mark 6:2. And when Shabbat had come, he began to teach in the synagogue, and many hearing him were astonished, saying, "Where did this man get these things? And what wisdom is this which is given to him, that such mighty works are performed by his hands?" And in Luke 4:16, he says that it is Yahweh's custom to preach on Shabbat. So if you want to hear the Messiah himself, the actual man of Yah who came down from Hashemayim to hear what he had to say, and you coming in on Sunday, you'd have been too late. You've been too late because he was there at the appointed place and the appointed time, which was Shabbat. And you would have missed out on all that wisdom that you would need for your eternal life if you came on a Sunday instead of on Shabbat. Reading from Acts 13, verse 14, 27, 42 through 44. But when they departed from Perga, they came to Antioch and Pisidia and went into the synagogue on the Shabbat day and sat down. Then Shaul gives a very stirring sermon. Read Acts 13. Read Acts 13 and read this beautiful sermon about our history and where we were and how we got to where we ended and why Yahweh had to come. Read the sermon, Acts 13. So then it goes on. Because those who live in Jerusalem and their rulers, because they did not know him, nor even the voices of the prophets, which are read every Shabbat, have fulfilled them in condemning him. So when the Yahudim went out of the synagogue, the Gentiles begged that these words might be preached to them the next Shabbat. They didn't say the next Sunday. So these are those who are circumcised and uncircumcised. They were coming together to hear the word of Yahweh on Shabbat, and they wanted him to come next Shabbat, not next Sunday. Now, when the congregation had broken up, many of the Yahudim and devout proselytes followed Shaul and Bar Abba, who, speaking to them, persuaded them to continue in the grace of Yahweh. On the next Shabbat, almost the whole city came together to hear the word of Yahweh. So see, it is everybody, circumcised, uncircumcised. They came together on Shabbat, and there was no debate about the name of Yahweh. No debate on the name. Everybody knew the name. Some people couldn't say it because they didn't have the tongue to say it. They had to learn it. They had to have Ruach HaKodesh to receive it. There was no debate on whether you can now eat bacon and ham hocks and pig feet. There was no debate on which day was you supposed to worship on. There was only the Besor message preached. The Besor message is what you call the gospel. The Besor message is that Yahweh is the crux. He is the X-Man of all things. This is the only thing that is new. It has now arrived. The covenant has been met. Yahweh breached through. He came through. That was the message. And that message was given in a formal way on Shabbat. Acts 15:21. Moses has had throughout many generations those who preach him in every city, being read in the synagogue every Shabbat. Now, remember, this in Acts 15, the 12 apostles had to come together, and the apostles, there's no other apostles. There's only 12 if you count Shaul. Yehuda was an apostle, but he killed himself. So you had 12 apostles. Then you also had two of Yahweh's brothers, Jude and James, which is Yaakov and Yehuda. That's the real names. These are only ones this is ground zero for the Besorah message, okay? What they said, this was Torah. And they had a summit. They had a meeting, and you can read that in Acts 15. And they wanted to, I talked about keep it simple saints, the KISS method. Acts 15 is the Keep It Simple Saints Summit about what was important and what was not important. And what they talked about was, hey, listen, the commandments, they get that every week. They get that every week. In other words, nothing changed. Nothing changed from the Old Testament. And I'm reading here from the Brit Hadashah. I'm reading right now from the Brit Hadashah, what you call the New Testament. Nothing changed. You still keep the Sabbath. You still don't eat pork. You still call the name of Yahweh. Nothing changed. And that's what this summit was about. There was no debate on that. Acts 18:4. Acts 18:4. And he reasoned in the synagogue every Shabbat and persuaded both Yahadim and Greeks. Every Shabbat, circumcised, uncircumcised, all got the Besorah message. The Besorah message was preached on. That doesn't mean they didn't teach the other 6 days, but it is mentioned specifically on this one named day. It's specific in the Brit Hadashah, the New Testament, so we can today not get it twisted. There's no mention of a formal meeting or preaching or sermons on the first day of the week. None. Not as a formal meeting. You teach the word every day. You don't go 6 days of not teaching and not preaching and not living right and only do it on the 7th day. You do it every day. But as a formal scheduled meeting time, it was on Shabbat. And we know that Yahweh rose on the first day of the week. We know he rose on Sun God Day. We know that. But of the 113 scriptures that talks about a meeting time to hear what Yahweh has to say from his mind and his heart, there's none. Where is even one verse, one scripture that negates the 113 other ones? Wake up, Yisrael. Where is the one scripture that says now, from now on, you're going to keep Sabbath on Sunday, Sun God Day? Where is it? And if you say the commandments were done away with, why not keep Wednesday sacred? Why not every Wednesday? Why not every Thursday? Why not every Monday? But you do it on Sunday because you've been taught that by Catholicism, by the universal religion of paganism. I'm going to end off with this one. Isaiah 66:23. If you say it's not important. And it will come to pass that from one new moon to another, and from one Shabbat to another, all flesh will come to worship before me, says Yahweh. Why? Answer it. Be honest to yourself. Look for the scriptures. Why would Yahweh give us a 7th-day Sabbath, then negate it and end it, and then bring it back to us again forever? Why would he do it? And if he did do it, show me where he did it. Show yourself. Don't show it to me. Show yourself where Yahweh ended the commandments, started up again in the new kingdom forever, keeping Shabbat and keeping the tabernacles and keeping all the feast days. When is he going to start it, stop it, and end and start it up again? That's not the mind of Yahweh, and it's not in the scriptures. There's nowhere to keep Sunday Shabbat. Nowhere. 7th day. Shiba day. Okay? Iyom. Shiba Iyom. 7th day. So it's that important. So until next week, Yisrael, Yehonatan Dawid with you here. I love you very much. Shalom Aleichem. Hallelujah.